Hi, my name is James. Today I'm going to be conducting a review of 3 separate products. They all kind of fit together, so I decided to lump them together into one review. What I'm going to be reviewing today is the Eleaf iStick Mini 20W, the Eleaf GS Air MS Clearomizer, and you can't see it right now, but the brand new 1.2 ohm cotton coils that are used in this tank and any of the GS Air tanks. This is versus the 1.5 ohm dual coils that were used in the GS Air series prior to this. I am going to be comparing this battery to the previous battery, the Eleaf iStick 10W. Let's go ahead and start with the box contents of the battery. The box that it comes in is labeled a bit differently than the older Eleaf boxes. You'll see the original iStick 10 Mini 10W box here. They've gotten a little prettier with it. They've added a little bit more snazz. It is a nicer box. It slides apart, and you've got your standard little dealie here where the battery is stored. Got your little guy here that holds your USB cable in the box, your standard Ego 510 adapter, and the user manual, which is actually pretty decent considering what this is. It's a simple device. It doesn't require a whole lot of complicated instructions to run. Other than that, one of the biggest things you're going to notice about the box is that it says My Vapors all the way up top with Eleaf just underneath it. The reason behind that is that Eleaf and Joyetech here several months back, maybe about a year now, kind of merged. I think Joyetech actually acquired Eleaf, or maybe the other way around. I'm not sure too much what the logistics of that are. So the My Vapors logo takes front and center on this. Anyone familiar with Joyetech products knows that My Vapors is part of their eVic line. It's their Bluetooth software that allows you to control the eVic with your cell phone or whatever. Not sure what that has to do with this device, because this is certainly not Bluetooth enabled. Has nothing to do with it. Maybe they're just rebadging this line. Versus the 10W box and its contents, I mean, it's all pretty standard. You got your USB cable, 510 adapter, you've got the battery in there. Pretty much the same deal. Both of them have the authenticity, scratch and sniff sticker on the bottom. Now let's compare the battery. Let me remove the tank here. To the original battery. This is the new one. This is the original. They are pretty much identical. You'll see some of the emblezoning on the sides a little different. This one now has the 20W logo on there, and on the other side the Eleaf logo has moved. And now it makes room for My Vapors again. On the base, you'll see the Eleaf logo now, but other than that, it's identical. Same thing on the top. Same 510 pin, same everything. So let me put this off to the side so I don't confuse them. This is a variable wattage and variable voltage device, unlike the original iStick Mini, which was only a variable wattage device. The original supported wattage, or correction, voltage from, I believe, 3.3 volts all the way up to 5.0 volts. This now goes up to 5.5 volts in variable voltage mode, and goes from 8 to 20 watts in variable wattage mode. The original was a voltage-only device. They labeled it as a 10W device because it had a 10W cutoff. In other words, if you had a low resistance 1.0, 1.2 ohm coil attached to this, and you tried to run it at 5 volts, it wouldn't let you. It would automatically bump the voltage down once it hit 10 watts. Same thing still applies here. It's got a 20W cutoff. So if you're trying to run a 1 ohm coil at 5.5 volts, it just won't let you do it. It'll drop the voltage down accordingly and give you 20 watts. But if you go into wattage mode, it'll actually allow you to control wattage in 0.5 increments. Standard 5 click on and off. You've got your puff counter. I'm not too sure how useful that is. Battery life indicator right there. You got your wattage control in 0.5 watt increments. I generally leave it right there at 20. If you want to switch between voltage and wattage mode, 3 clicks. It goes into a select screen. You can see your indicator. that would be your resistance of your coil. I don't have one attached right now, so it says no. That's your voltage mode. I've got it set at 5 and the last time I used it. And there's wattage mode. Let's go back into that. You just hit the fire button and that works. Let me get this tank back on there. And let's go back into the select mode. And now you can see the 1.2 ohm resistance of the coil that I've got in there. If you attach a tank with a very low resistance coil, something below 1 ohm, which this is designed to fire at, I've successfully had it going down to 0.9 though, it'll still read the resistance of the coil. You could put a 0.4 ohm coil in there, and if you click the button 3 times, it'll label it as 0.4 ohms. However, when you try to fire, it'll say low. It won't allow it. So it does have the safety cutoff feature, just like the other iStick Mini. That's good. It does have a low voltage cutoff mode. Once it gets down to 3.2 volts, it'll stop. Generally speaking, that's somewhere around 5% battery life. Other than that, it's just got your standard slew of safety features that any prepackaged rechargeable box mod has. Pretty decent. Let's move on to the tank. GS Air MS. This is a follow-up to the GS Air that was released last year. I like the tank fine. Had a couple niggling little issues that I didn't care for. One of them was that it was a 16mm tank. It's hard to find a 16mm mod anymore. So if I put it on a 14mm battery, it looked goofy. And if I put it on a 19mm battery like this one, which has a 19mm width, it kind of underhung around the edge and it looked a little goofy. They decided to release this and the GS Air MS, which I'm not going to review. It's functionally identical to this, except for juice capacity, to replace it. The biggest issue I had with the GS Air was that its airflow control was done with a screwdriver. If you wanted to change your airflow control settings throughout use, or when you're using it throughout the day, you had to use a little jeweler's screwdriver or something to that effect and have to carry that thing around in your pocket. Now what they've done is utilized an airflow control ring. It goes straight through on both sides, and it's just a standard Cylon control. I like that. Gives you a pretty decent amount of airflow. Keep in mind, you're not going to get anywhere near the airflow that these slots can provide because the coils themselves are going to be the bottlenecks. While I'm talking about the coils, let me go ahead and pull the pack out and show you. Standard Eleaf Air, you got these damn near impossible to open packages. That's a good thing. You know they're clean when you get them. And I'm not going to peel one out right now, but if you look at the top there of the coil, that's as much airflow as you're ever going to get. That's your bottleneck right there, and at the bottom, same sized hole. You're never going to get more airflow than that, so the Cyclops, or Cylon rather, air style airflow control really doesn't do much. The coils come in the standard little Eleaf packet, and they're all labeled, got your barcode. No scratch and sniff on these. I don't think they do that with their coils anymore. The GS Air MS comes in this little teeny tiny box. They label it. The GS Air M and Air MS come in the same box, and they simply do a little check box on the side. As far as contents of the box, of course, you get the clearomizer. You get the little instruction packet, which, again, not a whole lot to it, not a whole lot to the tank. And it came with a different drip tip than I've got installed. I don't much care for this drip tip because of a couple of reasons. One, it's kind of tall for the tank. It defeats the purpose of having a little squat tank like this. And two, I don't like the whole chrome finish on drip tips. It really gets a lot of lip gunk on it, and I didn't care for that. So I went on to Fasttech and picked up one of these little Jufun dual O-ring drip tips, and this thing works great, fits in there nice and snug. One thing I will say about the stock drip tip is that thing fits in there tight. Once you get that thing in there, it ain't moving. That's good. So let's put all these together. Talk a little bit more about these coils. The original coils that came with the GS Air and the MS and the M were a dual horizontal coil 1.5 ohm solution. Never been a big fan of dual coils myself. If a single coil will do, I think it does better. It gives you less chance for failure. Another thing I didn't like about the original coils was the wicking material. It was silica. Not a big fan of that. The new coils are organic cotton, and it's a single 1.2 ohm coil, and it's in a vertical orientation. That means from the top of the coil all the way down, you get plenty of airflow. So with these coils, you do get noticeably improved airflow, a little bit better flavor, but the biggest thing that you're going to get is that it's a 1.2 ohm coil, and that it's cotton. The combination of all that actually does produce a decent amount of extra flavor, and it's very noticeable when you use the device. And combined with the fact that it has a little bit extra airflow, the juice channels are also opened up, I'd guess about 10 to 20%. You just get a device that can handle more wattage. The original coils were rated between 8 and 20 watts, the new coils between 8 and 30 watts. And I've had these successfully running at 30 watts with a max VG or 100% VG juice that I cut down with the distilled water to about an 80% VG consistency. And it ran like a champ. Right now what I'm doing is running it in this at 20 watts, and it runs like a champ. The only issue I have with this tank really, and anyone that's used the GS Air MS or M tanks, is refilling. It's standard refill fare, it's bottom filled. And there's your coil. Again, that's as much airflow as you're ever going to get. Coil screws out of there, nice and easy. I'm not sure exactly how much I'm going to be able to tilt this with the camera. Let me see if I can get this down a little bit. There you go. You can kind of see it. It's kind of a pain to fill. It doesn't have a whole lot of room. You're going to need a pointy tip needle bottle or a syringe or something like that to be able to do it gracefully. I mean, it's certainly possible with a dripper bottle or one of the stub-nosed squeezy bottles. But to make your life easier, you're really going to want a pointy-tipped bottle. Another thing, and this is all subjective here, that I really don't care for this, is all the chrome. Or polished steel, whatever it is they've got on this. It really, really does attract fingerprints. Not a big fan of that. I would like to have seen a brushed stainless steel. But their new tank coming out, their 22mm version of this tank, virtually identical to this, except that it's 22mm, is all brushed stainless steel. I like that, and I think it's a better choice. That being said, let's get all this put back together. And I'll take it for a vape and show you what this little guy and this little guy together can do. The only issue with this, the 510 thread. It uses the same 510 threading that the original iStick 20 and the original iStick Mini used. Not a big fan of it. It's not spring-loaded. You got to be careful with it or you'll end up stripping your threads on the tank and your mod. So here we go. I've got this set in wattage mode, I believe. Nope, I've got it set in voltage, so I need to switch that over to wattage. There we go. 20 watts. We're going to have the airflow control all the way closed off and see what a mouth-along hit on this thing looks like. Really not bad. You'll have to excuse me, that wasn't a dry hit or anything. I've got a little more nicotine in this juice than I'm used to. I did some bad math when I was putting it together. I intended to make a 3mg juice, ended up making a 6. So, I gotta use it because I'm not gonna waste it. If I hack and cough a little bit, forgive me. So, I had a little flooding going on in there from when I tipped the tank over to show it to you. So, I was trying to get rid of that gurgling. Let's do another mouth hit on this and see what happens. Really nice. I mean, this is a great mouth-along hit tank, and one of the reasons for that is how the tank is designed. You'll notice that when I do a mouth-along hit, I've got it closed off all the way, but the base does have a little tiny hole. That's a plus and minus. One, you're going to get a little bit of condensation on your 510 pin up there, but it does allow for a nice tight draw if you're doing a mouth-along hit. So, and I do swap off between my hit styles when I'm using this. One more mouth-along and then we'll move to a full long hit. Incidentally, the juice that I'm using in this is a Reaper blend by Rocket Fuel Vapes. It's great stuff. I misordered it at 6 milligrams rather than 3, and that's why I'm going through this. I do want to get some in 0 milligram, but they don't offer it, unfortunately, so maybe I'll go ahead and mix it with something else and cut it down, or I'll just suffer through it. So let's open up the airflow control, and let me see. You can see the coil in there. In better lighting and with a better camera than mine, you can actually, there we go, you can see the wall behind me. It goes right through, so you get plenty of airflow in this. So let's go ahead and hit this. Tons of vapor. And keep in mind, this is not a VG heavy juice. This is a 70-30 mix, PG to VG. It's pretty thin stuff, and you can see it in the tank kind of sloshing around. 20 watts, and you get that kind of hit off of a $10 tank and a $20 mod. That's awesome. These coils run about $2.50 a piece if you buy them, and I've found that they're very, very easy to rebuild. Cost about 40 cents a piece, and you can probably rebuild these things a dozen or so times before the coil itself fails. Very, very nice. I'm pretty impressed with this. You got a bunch of different hit styles that you could do. I mean, you're certainly not going to win a cloud chasing contest with this, but it really performs more than adequately. I think this is great for a beginning vapor. I'm a little guy. I'm 5'5". I weigh about 140 pounds, and I've got tiny hands. And even I can cover this thing up completely. You got to be careful, though, if you've got it in your mitt, that you don't cover up the airflow ring. Something to keep in mind. If you're doing a mouth-to-lung hit, not a big deal. Very nice. I'm really impressed with this. I mean, it'll do anything from straight mouth-to-lung to direct lung hits. That was a 4-second hit there. You can do a whole heck of a lot more than that. And if you're using a VG heavy juice, it'll do a lot more than that. Really don't know what else to say. If you're interested in these, for right now, you're going to have to piecemeal it and buy the tank and the battery separately. Or if you go into Totally Wicked's website, and I know a lot of people don't like them, they carry this under the name Curve 2 Mini. They have a kit. It goes for $40. However, you might be able to catch it on sale for 25% off, 30% off. Once in a while, they do that with their yo-yo sales. Their shipping is always $3. So if you get it at 25% off, you're looking at about $33. If you don't catch it on sale, go ahead and use their discount code FORUM1, F-O-R-U-M-1, or FORUM3, F-O-R-U-M-3. That's good for a 20% discount. That knocks this down to $32. That includes the tank, a 1.5 ohm head, and the battery. Plus shipping, you're looking at $35 for all of that. That's not bad. Buy your coils elsewhere, though. What I would do is yank that 1.5 ohm coil out, put it back in the box, and keep that as a spare. The 1.2 ohm coils are really, really much better. Pick up your 1.2 ohm coils from Sweet Vapes, sweet-vapes.com. They do keep those in stock all the time. They're $9.50. Their shipping is $3 as well. I'd buy 2 packs. They're $19 for 2 packs. $3 shipping. You're looking at $22 for 10 coils. Not bad. Ends up being $2.20 a piece. Then, if you want to rebuild, you've got some rebuild fodder. Not really sure what else to say. I'm going to go ahead and take one more hit off of this, and then I'll go ahead and wrap it up. I hope you found this informative. I hope you enjoyed the review.